Spurs taking on Rochdale. This one finished 6-1. You would think, not really a lot to talk about.
Snow?
There was indeed snow.
Talk about the snow.
No orange ball, the ball was yellow, but we won't dwell on that too much. But what we will talk about is VAR. It was used a lot. So some people felt it was used incorrectly, certainly in the first half. All of you agreed when it came in that it was a good idea, that it was the right thing. Are you falling out of love with it at all?
I am a little, but I don't want to launch it. It's nothing to do with me, but I mean, I wouldn't like to see it launched out. As a lot of people, and if you go on social media, it's not just fans, but pundits like us and ex-players and some managers. Pochettino's been having a moan about it as well. And I'm sure if a decision goes his way with VAR, he'll see it differently. That's a manager. But I have to say, it's been very frustrating, particularly for those in the ground. But I think it's way too soon just to say, right, this is not working, get rid. I just think they've got to hone it, and they've got to make sure they're operating and it's working in a better system. I just don't think it's working well enough at the moment.
What's frustrating for the outsider, you look at this and it seems to be set up well. You know, it seems to make sense. Everything that we hear seems to tick all the boxes. Yet, for example, the Son penalty that was chalked off, it's the wrong interpretation of the law.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think you can blame VAR for that. I think you can blame the people, both the referee on the field and whoever it is in the control room kind of reviewing the videos. I think as a system, it's exactly what football needs. And in the long term, it will make the game better. But there are some teething issues, which is why it's only being used in the cup competition. So you could get to kind of understand that in a practical sense and work through those teething problems. All that being said, I think it was just a bad day at the office for the officials in charge. And unfortunately, VAR, as a system, as a result, is getting it in the neck.
Here's the thing. I just want to talk about the Son penalty because we all saw it and then we all kind of thought, well, you know, he did stop. That is the right decision. We then looked at the law, realised the law, in fact, said you can only feign. It's only going to be disallowed if you feign it as you're about to shoot. We all saw it. We went, right, OK, actually, you know, the referee's got it wrong. But how do they get it wrong? These are professional referees.
They shouldn't have got it wrong, especially when you consider that they can actually go and look at it multiple times. That's the thing I don't understand.
He's wrong.
What's wrong, Gab? What's wrong?
Well, look, I'm sorry. There's an element. First of all, there's no evidence that he used VAR to make that decision. But secondly, the rule says you can't stop immediately before shooting. So you can
it wasn't
feign,
immediately before shooting, Gab. That's the thing. This is the whole thing, isn't it?
But that's your interpretation that it wasn't immediately before shooting.
Well, if there's at least
You
2
can
yards
see
of
he
space
stops,
in between
and
the
then he
ball
shoots.
and the guy hitting it, then I think that's quite a reasonable interpretation.
That's your interpretation, but the interpretation of the referee was different. And this has nothing to do with VAR. I mean, this referee was not good today, and I don't think there's any dispute there. But you can't. But he can't. I mean, at least the way it was explained by another former Premier League referee, Chris Foy, here in England on television, was that by stopping entirely, and a stop is different than a feint. That's a case of unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, I'm not a referee. If we want to put Peter Walton and Chris Foy in a room and they can go and battle it out, my money would probably be on Chris Foy because he's a meaner, nastier person than Peter Walton. But regardless, this is not a cut and dried error, and it has nothing to do with VAR. And if people are going to use this to go and pick on VAR, I kind of give up here.
We're not using it. Just to be clear, I think we tried to make it clear how two professional referees get it wrong. This isn't about VAR. Just a reminder what Law 14 says. Penalty kicks to be disallowed if feinting to kick the ball once the kicker has completed the run-up. Feinting in the run-up is permitted. Peter Watson, you mentioned there, thought that it was that it should have been given.
So by that law there, which is, you can see in the graphic, he hadn't completed his run-up.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, the referee was correct. But it is interpretation.
Yeah, but Craig, is it a feint? Is stopping a feint? That's the whole point. Chris Foy, who's also a referee, says that we're talking about feinting. We're not talking about stopping. He actually stops just before he's about to kick. He's not
just before.
He's not doing a feint. I mean,
you're saying just before, but in that law, that written law, it says when he's completed his run-up. He hadn't completed his run-up.
No. Craig, you're not hearing me. A feint is not a stop. He didn't feint. He stopped.
I know that.
Stopping, in the opinion of Chris Foy, and I have no reason to believe it's any less valid than Peter Walton's, is stopping is not a feint. Stopping is unsportsmanlike behavior. And that's why he was booked.
But it doesn't say that in the law.
That's how he read it.
It
I
doesn't
don't think this is cut and dried at all.
But it doesn't say that in the law. The laws of the game, it doesn't say
It
that.
doesn't have to say that it doesn't have to say it in the law of the game. Unsportsmanlike behavior can manifest itself at any time, at any moment. There's a reason why nobody takes penalties like that, because you're not allowed to.
There's unsportsmanlike behaviour that goes on all the time. All over the field. It's not punished.
Yeah.
So if it's not in the law, then they can't. They can't go down that line. I mean, I'm confused here.
This law that we just showed on the graphic is a part of Law 14, which kind of states when a penalty can or is to be disallowed, and the action that needs to be taken after. Now, I get Gab's point that stopping may be interpreted as unsportsmanlike conduct, but then that's a pretty loose interpretation, and unless somewhere in the law, you know, we aren't talking about saying unsportsmanlike conduct is going into the stands and punching a fan here. This happens all the time, and players can do it all the time. Unless this is defined somewhere within the laws of the game, I think it just becomes too general, too broad to say whatever the referee decides is unsportsmanlike conduct should be punished.
How many times do you see a player taking a free kick from wide or around the 18-yard line? And there's a couple of players there, and the guy stops, and then they peel off, and the goalkeeper, they don't know who's taking it.
A free kick is not a penalty.
It's a set piece.
A free kick is not a penalty. And besides, this isn't my interpretation.
It's not in the laws.
Different rules evidently apply. I'm not a referee. I'm telling you that while it's great that Peter Walton says one thing, Chris Foy says another thing. So, I don't know, maybe we should get the two of them and to go sort it out. But this is precisely, by the way, the kind of subjective decisions that referees have to make on the pitch.
But we can do no more here, Gab, than bring up Law 14, explain it to the viewers what it is, and suggest that's not what happened in this Tottenham game today. Now, if people want to talk about unsportsmanlike behaviour and all the rest of it, if it's not in the laws of the game, how are they supposed to implement it?
Well, it is, because in his opinion, he stopped.
The truth of the matter is, this is just one incident in a game. This is just one decision, right or wrong. Over the course of the 90 minutes, the referee and his assistant in the booth made an absolute mess of a number of decisions. If we want to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one, fine.
I'm just thinking,
whichever way, over 90 minutes, he still gets a failing grade. His man in the booth still gets a failing grade.
When we were sitting watching Tottenham v Rochdale replay,
we'd get all this.
And we were sitting going, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about today? I want to go home.
What about when they said, VAR bit introduced, we're like, we'll have nothing to talk about anymore. Well, look, just to confirm what Peter Walton said, this is what he wrote to us. If a player feints during the kicking motion, it's an indirect free kick and yellow card. This was not an act of fainting, as his kicking motion was not affected. Clear example of encroachment, however, and kick should have been retaken. That's it?
Yeah.
Do we move on?
Yeah.
I can't believe Gab's arguing about this, honestly.
Don't get him started
I'm
again.
not arguing. I'm telling you what another Premier League referee, who's also on the telly, said here in England. I'm sorry. I don't know who's better. I don't know who's right.